Hello, I'm Jason Butler and thanks for joining me on my Ask Jason session. This week's topic is all about debt and borrowing. If you're going to use a credit card, and I'm not a big fan of credit cards, but if you are going to use one, then what you've got to do is make sure that you only spend on that credit card amounts that you put in your spending plan. So for instance, if you spend £80 a week on groceries, you can put those on your credit card because they're already accounted for in your budget. But don't spend anything on your credit card that is not already in your budget, and never, ever, ever use your credit card to buy anything that you haven't either got the salary coming in for that you've budgeted for, or savings that you put aside for purchasing it. Now it sounds quite attractive, doesn't it, to take expensive debts you've got over here, credit cards, bank loans, overdrafts, and take a bigger mortgage to pay those off. But the problem is you'll probably end up paying a lot more in the long run. And that's because your mortgage is over a much longer period. So typically a mortgage is 15, 20 or 25 years. So although the interest on a mortgage is normally a lot less than the credit cards and overdrafts, you'll end up paying a lot more interest because you're paying it for a longer period of time. And the second issue is that by taking an additional mortgage advance to pay off your other debts, you avoid having to actually get really focused and get those repaid. And if you don't feel the pain and don't have to go through a little bit of effort and hassle to pay back those old debts, you won't learn to control your spending. So as a general principle, do not increase your mortgage to pay off bad debts. Use the snowball debt repayment method, ranking all your debts from smallest to largest, and pay off the smallest first as fast as you can and get super focused. Well, using a credit card and paying it every month, either in full or in part, can improve your credit score. But here's the thing, it's not the only way to improve your credit score, and there are lots of other things you can do. For instance, make sure you're registered on the electoral roll. Make sure that no one else in your household or previously living in your household has got a bad credit rating which will affect you. Make sure there are no mistakes on your credit report by applying to the credit reference agencies and just checking it. So it is possible to improve your score for a credit card, but it's not the only way. And I would suggest if you are going to use a credit card, put a really small amount of spending on it, 50, 60, 80 pounds a month that you can pay in full from money that you were going to spend anyway. Well, PayPal credit is really like any other buy now, pay later. The idea is that you're buying something, but you don't have to pay for it until 3 or 4 months down the line. But then if you don't pay the amount back after 3 or 4 months, then you start incurring interest. And in the case of PayPal, if you don't spend any more on the card, then you also incur costs. So here's the thing, you actually want to feel the pain of buying something right now. So you want the money coming out of your bank account with money that you already have, because then you will think much more carefully about, do I need this? Do I want this? Can I afford this? Whereas if it comes to 3 or 4 months when you've got to pay the money back that you've spent on these facilities, and you haven't got the money either because you've lost your job or because you've spent it on something else, that's the danger. So avoid buy now, pay later systems. They are not your friend and they are potentially going to trip you up. If you buy a car on finance, it's going to end up costing you. It's going to cost you both interest and it's going to cost you in terms of monthly payments. And when you pay interest and you're paying monthly payments on an asset which is going down in value, that will stop you building savings and building wealth. So the answer is, if I were in your position, I would not be buying a car on finance. I would be making sure that I'm buying a car with cash that I've saved. And the basic rule is never spend more than 50% of what you earn each year on a car that you're going to buy. Thanks for joining me. Next week's topic is all about housing, renting, buying, investing. So send your questions in and I'll do my best to answer them next week.